Hello everybody, I'm the pilot Blake and welcome back to Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. In this video, I'm going to show you guys how to fly the Cessna Citation Longitude on a VIP charter mission in career mode. Now, before we begin, please keep in mind, although I am a real-world pilot and flight instructor, I am not qualified to fly a Longitude in the real world. So this tutorial will simply be based off of my experience flying the airplane in the simulator, based on in-game checklists, as well as the operator's guide for the Longitude for Microsoft Flight Simulator. If you guys are interested in the Cessna Citation Longitude Model 700 Operator's Guide, I will have a link in the description below where you can go and download this document. It has over 100 pages of information on the Longitude. Anything you would want to know about this airplane at a simulation level, it's in this document, and it certainly has been super helpful to me both when I was learning the airplane and now as I've been relearning the airplane. So I highly recommend it. They actually have these documents for several airplanes in the simulator if you guys didn't know that, and you'd be able to find those in the link in the description as well. Alright, so for today's mission, we're going to be flying from Minneapolis down to Cleveland, the Burke Lakefront Airport. And the first thing I do once I select the mission is I come down to my EFB and I want to just take a look at my flight plan and make sure that everything looks good. So I'll generally take just a quick peek at each procedure that they have in here for us. So first, the Minneapolis 9 departure. And you can see, looking at this departure procedure, it's basically just a radar vectors departure, so that's pretty easy. We'll just leave that in the flight plan like so. I think that is going to be good for us on this flight. And then they've got a couple of en route waypoints in here for us, and we're not going to mess with that either. But going into Cleveland, they have us flying the Browns for arrival. So let's quickly take a look at that arrival procedure. And looking at the Browns for arrival, they gave us the OLE transition, so you can see that pretty much makes sense from where we're going to be coming from. So I'm just kind of looking for stuff like that, making sure that everything makes sense given where we're going to be coming from. And you can see here, landing at Burke Lakefront, we're going to be using the SIP or SIP transition, whatever it is. And from there, we would expect radar vectors to the final approach course. Given that, we would probably expect vectors for an approach at Burke Lakefront. Given that, they have the ILS-24 right approach in here for us. And if we look at the ILS-24 right, the only transition they offer is direct. So basically, we're going to be getting radar vectors to the final approach course for the ILS approach. But I don't think default ATC will actually give us vectors, certainly not good ones, so we might just be vectoring ourselves onto the approach, which I'm okay with. So sometimes you have to do that in the career mode. So this looks good to me. I think all of our flight plan looks pretty good. The last thing we need to do is to put in our cruising altitude. So for some reason, whenever I type in 450 for a cruising altitude in here, it automatically goes back to 300. And we definitely don't want to cruise at flight level 300. So sometimes what you have to do is just request that higher altitude with the ATC once you get in the air. So we'll just deal with that later on. So with that, let's go ahead and send the flight plan to ATC and avionics like so. And just make sure it all looks good still, and it does. And with that, we can go ahead and accept this mission, and we need to transfer the airplane over to Minneapolis. So before we accept the mission to go fly, we need to go over here to manage aircraft and make sure that everything looks good on the airplane. So first, I always watch the airplane. The reason for that is because I think it reflects in the passenger satisfaction in the final score. So basically, yeah, we have to spend some money to clean the airplane, but I think we make that money back in our final score when the passengers are satisfied. After you've determined that the maintenance on the airplane is all good to go, the next thing you'll want to do is to make sure you have enough fuel for the trip. So we do have enough for the minimum requirement of what they're saying, but I always like to take extra just so we know we have plenty of fuel on board. So we're definitely going to throw some extra in there. So I think that looks good. We'll go ahead and refuel to 6,080 pounds of fuel. And then insurance, just make sure you got insurance on the airplane, whatever level you use. So with all of the aircraft management stuff good, we can go ahead and back out of here. And with that, we are ready to head out to the airplane and get it ready to go. All right, so here is the Citation Longitude. You can see it's an absolutely gorgeous airplane. I've really enjoyed getting reacquainted with this airplane and flying it. It's been a lot of fun. So the first thing you'll want to do once you get in here is pull out the checklist for the airplane. And I highly, highly recommend you guys, if you are trying to learn a new airplane, one of the biggest tips I have for you is use the checklist and put it on the expert level and go through item by item, read each and every single item, read the subtext, and learn, what you're supposed to be looking for, what you're supposed to do at each item. If you don't know where something is, you can use the little look at tool and it'll highlight the thing that it's talking about, and it's just a really great way for you to learn the airplane. So go through it item by item, take your time, and it's just such a good way to learn the airplane. So as far as the preliminary exterior inspection, we're going to get these covers removed. Make sure the APU and APU generator are clear of obstructions because we are going to be starting the APU here momentarily. And then on the Longitude as well, we have these quick disconnect batteries here, one on each side. So we just want to make sure that they're connected, and that one is. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. And you can see we are all clear back here. So we'll be ready to start the APU when we get in the airplane. And here is that other battery disconnect in here. So we'll just make sure that it is connected like so. And it is. So that's the preliminary inspection. Next, we need to head up into the cockpit. All right, welcome aboard the Citation Longitude, and we're ready to do the cockpit/cabin inspection. First thing I do, though, is I always hide the yokes just so I can see things a little bit better. And at this point, we can go ahead and test the standby battery. So we're going to go into the test position for 10 seconds. Make sure that this light stays on for the entire 10-second duration. And then after 10 seconds, we're going to turn the standby power on. Like so. So standby power is on. Emergency exit lights, we're going to go ahead and turn those on actually right now so we can check those on the walk around. And that's good. Cabin emergency lights check. Make sure that these lights are lit. That one is lit. And that one is lit. So that looks good. Landing gear lever is down. Battery switches on. We're going to turn both of these guys on like so. And EIS check. Make sure our engine indication systems look good. Everything's in the green. I don't see anything that is cause for concern, so that's good. CAS messages. CAS messages are everything we would expect to see at this point, so I'm happy with that. And power source as desired. We're going to be using the APU, so we'll go to use APU power source right there. So for this, we're going to go through the starting APU checklist. So the EIS, again, is checked. We've done that. CAS is checked. APU, we're going to go on and then start. All right, so APU is firing up. You can hear it firing up, and you can see that percent RPM is rising, and the APU EGT is rising as well. And once it stabilizes, we will proceed with the checklist. Okay, you can see the APU has stabilized.
System test.
And we're going to want to just make sure that APU bleed is normal, and it is. APU gen right there is on. And the environmental controls as desired. So let's go ahead and turn our temperature down towards cold because it is a warm day. And we can cool the cabin down for our passengers, which will be great. So we've got those turned down like so, and that's good. So starting APU checklist is complete. Let's go back to the cockpit and cabin inspection checklist. So we've done the APU, external power is disconnected. Battery amps, just verify that they're both 0 or better. They are both charging, that's good. And interior lights as desired. We don't need them, they're all minimum for our daytime flight today. and then exterior lights as required. So for the pre-flight, we'll get the landing lights and the taxi light on, the anti-collision light on, wing inspection light on, and the tail flood light on as well. And the emergency exit lights are on as well. So we can check all of that for the on the exterior inspection. So we'll go ahead and head back outside the aircraft and do our exterior inspection. Now, as you can see, the exterior inspection is 106 items long, so I'm not going to go through this with you guys. I'm going to do it on my own, but again, if you guys just use your checklist, put it on the expert level, go through item by item. If you don't know where something is, use the look at icon and it will show you where everything is, which is super, super helpful. So let's do our pre-flight inspections, and then we will be headed back into the airplane. Okay, the exterior inspection checklist is complete. Just walk around the airplane one more time to make sure everything looks good, make sure I got everything closed up, didn't forget anything. You can see this is just a beautiful airplane. It has such a ramp presence. So pretty. So we'll just walk around one more time, make sure we got everything all closed up, everything's checked off in the green, that we've checked it. I went through the whole checklist, so everything looked good on the airplane. Okay, and the airplane looks good, so we'll go ahead and remove the chocks at this point. We wouldn't want to do that in the real world until the passengers were on board, but since we're not planning on exiting the airplane again, we'll go ahead and just do that now. So our pre-flight inspection is complete. Let's go ahead and head back up into the cockpit and get things ready to go. So we're done with our pre-flight, so we can go ahead and kill all these lights. We'll arm the emergency exit lights, and we'll turn all that stuff off. Perfect. So now we can go through our cockpit preparation checklist. So pre-flight inspection is complete. EIS check. Again, just making sure everything looks good, and it does. CAS messages. Again, everything's indicating what we would expect it to indicate at this time. APU is already on. External power is disconnected. We don't need to dry motor. And at this point, let's go ahead and get the ATIS and our clearance.
Minneapolis Airport Information X-ray. 2300 Zulu. Windcom. Visibility. Tree. Sky condition. Few clouds at 10,200. Few clouds at 14,200. Temperature. 2 tree. 2.18. Altimeter tree 002. ILS runway tree 0 left and ILS runway tree 0 right in use. Landing and departing runway tree 0 left and runway tree 0 right. VFR aircraft say direction of flight. All aircraft read back hold short instructions. Advise controller on initial contact you have X-ray.
All right, we've got the ATIS. Let's go ahead and request our IFR clearance.
Minneapolis clearance delivery. Cessna November 46808 IFR to Lakefront. Ready to copy.
Via the Mike Sierra Papa 9er departure, runway tree 0 left. Climb via SID maintain flight level tree 10. Departure frequency is 124.7, squawk 6 tree 17.
All right.
Clear to Lakefront via the Mike Sierra Papa 9er departure, runway tree 0 left. Climb via SID maintain flight level tree 10. Departure frequency is 124.7, squawk 6 tree 17, Cessna November 46808.
Cessna 808, read back is correct. Contact ground on 121.8 when ready to taxi. Good day.
Sometimes they step on each other like that. Sometimes it's pretty annoying. That's a bug that they need to fix with the default ATC. But we've got our ATIS and clearance at this time, so that's good. And cockpit controls pre-flight inspection must be completed. That's good. Autopilot first flight of the day. They say just to engage it and then disengage it again. So we will do that. And it engaged and it disengaged, and we'll kill the flight director. So that's good. Trim set for takeoff. We've got the aileron and rudder trim centered. We'll bring our stab trim back into the green range, like so. Trims are set. Initialization complete. So we'll go down here and do our initialization, starting with weight and fuel. Crew and stores. So for this stuff, what I like to do is to go to flight performances, mass and balance, and then look at our seats. So this is our loading for this flight, and our co-pilot's 160. I'm about 160, 170 is what I put myself in there at. So we will do about 330 is fine. We'll leave that the way it is. And then passengers, it looks like we got 2 passengers, so 163 pounds there, 163 pounds there, so 2 passengers at 163 each. We'll enter that. And cargo. They usually don't give us cargo on these missions for whatever reason, so no cargo to consider. And so that's good. We'll go back here. We'll just go back to the checklist. We're done with that. So that looks good. Takeoff, we'll do a fob sync there. And we'll worry about the landing stuff later. So that's good. Next, our flight plan, and we did get our clearance. So cleared via the, basically it's as filed, the MSP-9 departure, runway 30 left, MSP-9 departure, climb via the SID, maintain flight level tree 10, and if we look at the departure, top altitude is assigned by ATC, so tree 10 is going to be our top altitude on the departure, so we'll go ahead and throw that into the altitude pre-selector. Alright, so the departure looks good in there. We got our top altitude set in the altitude pre-selector. These are the en route waypoints, and then we're going to be flying the Browns for arrival Ole transition, runway 24 right to Burke Lakefront. That looks good. And then from there, we got vectors to final for the ILS runway 24 right approach. So it's basically SIP, whatever it is, and then vectors for the approach. And so that's all in there already. So we can update that as we go if we need to. But for now, I will accept that. It looks good to me. So we've got our clearance limit in there, routes in there. Our altitude is set for now. Frequencies, we'll be managing that just with the default ATC by pressing the enter button. And transponders, 6317's in there, and transponders on auto, so that's good. So that's me just going through that CRAFT acronym: clearance, route, altitude, frequency, transponder that we use for an IFR clearance, and just making sure that we have the clearance put in the airplane, so to speak, is what I say. So let's go and go next on that. And as far as the departure, runway 30 left and weather, we can go ahead and let's just refer to the ATIS for this. So wind is calm. Let's just go, 360 at 0 knots. It's fine. Temperature is 23. We could use the RAT, but we'll just throw it in there manually. And that looks good. Runway, takeoff run available. This is all the information. That looks good. Takeoff config will be flaps 1 departure, anti-ice will be off, and we are going to do a rolling takeoff as well. So that all looks good to me. Here's our V speeds. We can accept those takeoff speeds, and they'll be thrown up onto the airspeed tape, which is good. So we can accept that, and all those are checked off, and we can accept the initialization, and I'm going to full screen this as well. So the initialization is complete. V speeds are set. Landing field elevation verify. They got 581 in there. Let's go ahead and just quickly check and see what it actually is. 581. So they've got that nailed. So landing field elevation is checked. Fuel quantity and balance checked. We have basically what we expected, and they're balanced as well. So fuel quantity and balance are checked. Cockpit preparation checklist is complete. Engine dry motor checklist, engine dry motor consider. We don't need to dry motor, so we'll check that off. We're skipping that. And we'll do the before starting engines checklist next. Before we do this checklist, though, let's go ahead and get our passengers on board the airplane.
Boarding begins if you're ready, Captain.
Okay, we've got our passengers on board. We'll do a before starting engines checklist. So parking brake set, verified it is set. Wheel chocks are removed. We've done that already. Cabin door closed. Let's just verify that it is closed. We'll sneak back here real quick and just check and make sure that it's closed. And it is, and it is. Excellent. Cabin door is closed. And passenger briefing complete. So passenger briefing is complete. They've got briefing cards back there, so that's good. Seatbelts fastened. They've got that on here twice for whatever reason. But yeah, seatbelts are fastened. Seatbelt sign on. We can go ahead and get the seatbelt sign on. So that's good. EIS check. And again, it all looks good, and CAS messages are basically what we would expect at this point. So before starting engines checklist complete, starting engines using the APU checklist. Throttle's idle. Make sure that the thrust levers are both at idle, and they are. and we'll start the right engine first. Before that, though, let's go and get an anti-collision light on, and we'll start the right engine first. So we're going to go that right run stop switch. We'll go to run, cover it back up, start pressure 32 psi. That's good, and we'll engage the starter. Here we go. Start lights on, ignition light is on. ITT's rising, looks good. We have N1 rotation. Oil pressure's rising. These engines start very quickly. It's pretty nice. And just like that, we have a good engine. All right. And throttles are still at idle. It's good start on the right engine. Let's do the same process on the left. Okay, we've got two good engines. That all looks good to me. EIS is checked. We've been doing that, so that's good. CAS messages are looking good, and starting engines checklist is complete. So let's go to the before taxi checklist. So flight control is free and correct for this. You can go down to aircraft systems, synoptics, and go to flight controls, and we have that displayed right here. So we'll do a flight controls check here. So if we roll left, you can see we got the left aileron going up, right one down, and the roll spoilers on the left side going up. Opposite will happen when we roll right. Elevator up, elevator down, rudder right, and rudder left. And we'll check our speed brakes as well. They're up, back down, very good. And flaps 1 for departure selected and indicating, and you can see that it's indicating on the flight controls page as well. So that looks good. Flight controls, speed brakes, and flaps are checked and set. PFDs are both looking good. We got our V speeds up now, no red X's. Everything looks good there. And altimeters, tree 003 is what it was when we listened to the ATIS. So that's set. Let's verify that's reading within 75 feet of field elevation. If we go here, 826, we're reading about 840, 835, 840. So that's checked. And the altimeters are reading within 75 feet of field elevation, and those look good. And then engine ice protection is not needed. That's off. Before taxi checklist is complete. Taxi checklist is next. So we are ready to taxi. Let's go ahead and request our taxi clearance.
Minneapolis
Come overhead,
route, Cessna
get our
November
taxi light on,
46808 with X-ray, ready to taxi, IFR.
and we will stow the parking brake. We'll check our brakes,
Cessna
our flight
November
instruments, our nose wheel
46808,
steering,
taxi
and our
to
thrust
hold short of runway
reversers during
30,
taxi.
left via taxiway Sierra 1
Otherwise,
Sierra
the
Delta
taxi
Whiskey Whiskey 1.
checklist is
Contact
complete.
tower on 123.95 when ready.
So nose wheel steering's working, the instruments are checked. We just checked the brakes, and we'll go and just check the TRs real quick just so I can show you guys. So we'll pop the left one into reverse. See, left TR is deployed, and that's good. And let me actually show you.
Slow down our taxi speed, Captain.
Shut up. Show you my what that looks like on my throttle quadrant here. So we'll do the right one, pop the lever up, back into the detent, TR unlocked, TR deployed, and we'll put it away. So TRs are checked, steering's checked, brakes are checked, instruments are checked. Taxi checklist is complete. Let's welcome our passengers on board. All right, we are coming to the approach end of runway 30 left, where we will hold short and do our before takeoff checklist. So we'll come into the box here, and come to a stop, set the parking brake, and let's pull out the checklist and do our before takeoff checklist. So flaps set for takeoff, they are set and indicating flaps 1 for departure, speed brakes are retracted, trim set, 1, 2, 3 trims are set, engine ice protection test. So we're just going to turn it on and verify we get the CAS message right there. Left, right, and back off. So that's tested. Ice protections as required. We don't need anything on over there, so that's all good. And V speeds confirmed, set. V1's 102, VR 108, V2 is 124. V speeds are set, speed knob is on FMS, and crew briefing complete. So this will be a normal takeoff departing runway 30 left, and it'll be a normal rolling takeoff. We are going to use auto throttle on the departure. Let's go ahead and hit our go around buttons so we get our flight director up, and we'll arm the auto throttle once we're cleared for takeoff. And so we'll advance to the takeoff setting on the throttle, make sure takeoff over here goes green, and now we get a green hold over here on the thrust. So that auto throttle is engaged and it's working properly. And again, V1 is 102, VR is 108. So we'll rotate at 108, positive rate, gear up, V2 plus 20 flaps come up, and we'll fly the Minneapolis 9 departure, which we're going to go ahead and review real quick. So again, Minneapolis 9 departure, take off all runways, just climb on assigned heading for radar vectors to the assigned route, maintain ATC assigned altitude, expect filed altitude 10 minutes after departure, departing runway 30 left for assigned headings from 220 clockwise to 360, cross 7 DME of the VOR at or above 3,500 feet, and they're probably not going to give us an assigned heading, but I can just tell by what they've put in our flight plan that they want us to fly, looks like a 290 heading on the departure, and fly out to 7 DME from the VOR before we make any other turns. So we'll fly the departure that way. So sounds good. Let's go ahead and get our heading bug set on 290. And as far as the emergency side of the crew briefing is concerned, so again, V1 is 102, so if anything happens below 102, as far as like an engine failure or something like that, if we're below V1, we're going to keep the airplane on the ground. So it'll be full reverse thrust, speed brakes, manual braking, and abort the takeoff. Above V1, we're going to take it in the air and treat it as an in-flight emergency. So I'll fly the airplane, I'll work on maintaining speed and working our way around the pattern to come back here and land, and she will maintain, or she will contact ATC, handle radios and checklists, basically. And so that would be the emergency side of the crew briefing as well. So crew briefing is complete. Speed knob is FMS, another item they have duplicated on there for whatever reason. Weather radar is not needed, and the rest of these items are for once we are cleared for takeoff. So let's go ahead, let's range out on this so we can see a little bit better. And that looks good to me. So let's go ahead and request our takeoff clearance. And I'm expecting them to clear us right away, so let's go ahead and on the auto throttle. You can see it's armed. And they stepped on each other again, which is annoying.
Cleared for takeoff runway 30
Alright, release
left.
brakes.
Cessna November 46808.
Landing lights on. We got our auto throttle armed. Ice protection's already good, we don't need any. Exterior lights are on. Let's inform our passengers. EIS,
To all
all
passengers,
looks good.
this is
CAS
First
is
Officer
clear.
Martin speaking.
Before takeoff,
Estimated
checklist
flight time to
complete.
Cleveland is 67 minutes. We remind you to keep your seatbelt
And we'll
fastened.
put that
Thank you for your
tablet away.
attention, and let's have a great flight.
All right, we'll line it up here on center line. 30 left is identified. And we are cleared for takeoff. Let's do it. All right, we'll bring our thrust levers up here. Make sure the engines come up nice and stable together like so. And we'll advance all the way to takeoff thrust. All right, takeoff is green and thrust hold. That looks good. Engines are both looking good and in the green. Airspeed's alive. There's 80 knots. V1, rotate.
V1, rotate.
Positive rate, gear up. V2 plus 20 flaps up. Flight level change. Things happen fast in this airplane.
Cessna 808, contact Minneapolis, departure on
Heading mode.
124.7. Good day.
We'll contact departure. Good day.
124.7 for Cessna 808. Minneapolis departure. Cessna November
All right,
46808
autopilot's
is
coming
passing
on.
2,400 climbing flight level tree 10.
Cessna
Cessna November 46808, Minneapolis departure, altimeter tree 001, radar contact, continue.
All right, and we're gonna go manual speed. We'll do 240 knots manual speed here just to give ourselves a buffer, because in career mode, if you go 250.1 knots, they penalize you for it, and we don't want that. We're trying to get the highest score possible on this mission. All right, we're through 10,000 feet. We can go back to FMS, and we'll come up here. We'll turn our landing lights off. We'll turn our passenger signs off. And let's go ahead and real quick, we will look at the after takeoff / climb checklist. Landing gears up, flaps are up, throttles are in the climb detent, ice protection as required. It is all as required for now. Pressurization is looking good. We are pressurizing. Seatbelt sign is as required at this point. And we'll get the altimeters through 18,000 feet. Exterior lights, we've already done that. And we can turn the APU off. Like so. APU off. After takeoff / climb checklist complete. And we can go and make a left turn on course at this point. We're past 7 DME from the VOR. So we'll start a left-hand turn, come down here to our flight plan, and we'll go direct to SATE, whatever it is. Activate direct to, and we'll go nav mode like so. All right, making a left turn on course at this point, and climbing up to flight level tree 10. Now, I did want to go higher on this flight, so let me show you guys how you request higher from ATC. We'll just request an altitude increase. We'll increase by 10,000 feet, so they should give us 410. We're through 18,000 feet. Standard pressure on the altimeters. Things happen fast in this airplane, as you can see. It's so fast.
Flight level tree 10. Expect flight level 410.
Up to tree 10, expect 410. And if we want, we can go up to 450. Honestly, I'm fine with just cruising at 410 on this flight. I have nothing against that. So let's just plan on that for this one. And the after takeoff climb checklist is complete. You notice we skipped the normal takeoff checklist. This was basically just another departure briefing for the takeoff, which we made as part of our crew briefing on the before takeoff checklist. So the cruise checklist will be next. We are done with this plate. Get rid of that. Zoom in here a little bit and center ourselves on the airplane. And we are now en route, headed to Cleveland. Well, you guys, that's going to do it for part 1 of this tutorial. If you liked this video, please give it a like and consider subscribing to my channel. It helps out a lot. I will see you guys in part 2 for the arrival and approach into Cleveland. Take care.